I'm going to come to you in a minute, Matt. I want to ask you about Rasmus Højlund tonight. He gets another goal, 8th goal of the season, which, it isn't groundbreaking and everybody's talking about him as the best striker in the world, but it's another goal added. But he was very frustrated tonight with the lack of service he was getting from his teammates, KJ.
I feel for him, man. I absolutely feel for him. Because what more can you do? He's battling defenders by himself, normally 2v1 most of the time. He's holding up the ball. He's laying people in. He's making the correct runs that he needs to make. And yet, they can't find him. The last 2 goals he scored, if I remember, have both come from failed shots and him picking up the scraps and finishing it off. Against Spurs and now against Newport, if I remember correctly. What more can he do? If you're not feeding him, we can't even say if he's good or not. Because we don't see him enough in situations where you've got to say, yeah, he has to score that. Or that was a good chance for Hojlund. Has he scored? Has he not? We're not giving none of that. And I've said this before. How can he develop as a striker if all his opportunities are scraps from everyone else messing up? He can't develop that way. He'll get frustrated and he'll just go backwards. So I feel for him because he's got the basis to be a good striker. The level of striker, hey, we don't know. I think he could be a very good one. We've seen glimpses that he could be a very good finisher, a very good poacher. But these guys around him not helping. And I don't care what people say about, he needs to make his own chances. He's not that kind of guy. He's not that kind of player. He ain't a guy to get it from the halfway line, dribble fast 4-man and score, even though he has done that already this season against Galatasaray, I believe. Not the halfway line, but a similar kind of goal. He has done it, but he can't do it. He's not a guy who do that all the time. He's not Eden Hazard. He's not Messi. He's a more traditional striker. He wants to be in the box. He wants to be fed. He wants to have chances where he can go one-on-one and tap-ins and all of that. So why are we not giving him that? So I think he's a good player. I'm happy with his performances for Man United so far in this struggling team, in this team with one of the worst systems I've ever seen. Like, what more can he do?
No, I totally agree. There's a comment that's come in here, and I was talking earlier about the way people play each other off. It says people need to stop this feeding BS. He's literally barely touched the ball. Nobody supplies this logic when it's Martial. Martial is just irrelevant to this conversation. Rasmus Højlund is not getting the ball fed enough into the right areas of the box. He just isn't. And it's not about feeding Rasmus to get Rasmus goals. And I see this warped logic from people that love Martial around. But if Rasmus starts, I get I know what the fear is. If the ball gets fed into those areas and Rasmus scores, people will be able to. Some people will use it to shit on Martial. They will. Some idiots will. That's the see. We got a proper striker now. The ice cold Martial was missing this or never fit, whatever it is. Some idiots will use it as a stick to beat Martial with. So Martial FC come out ahead of time and act like what we're saying about the supply into Rasmus Højlund is down. Now, Rasmus Højlund and Martial are different players. Martial can do things when he's fit and when he's in form that Rasmus probably never will be able to. He isn't as good with the ball at his feet. He's not as good a dribbler. He doesn't have the skill and the technique and the ability to beat a man in the same way. No one's claiming that. But that's an irrelevant point. No, his job is to be the number 9. He's more of a target man, number 9 for Man United. And he makes brilliant runs into really dangerous places. But what he needs a large percentage of the time is the right cutback or the right through ball. And it isn't coming regularly enough. So just because certain people didn't defend Martial how you wanted, doesn't mean you shouldn't talk honestly about Rasmus Højlund. Remember what I said earlier? Say you think that Martial's been treated like this down here, no one's giving him respect, and you want him to be respected. Why are you echoing that what you believe to be poor analysis and poor behavior by doing the same thing to somebody else? That type of eye for an eye mentality, I personally find crazy. I really do, my friend.
And we need to, what? People forget this about Martial. We need to remember he has been defended. He has been one of the most defended players at Man United in a long time. Him and Rashford, both of them, have been defended by two different sets of people, but the defense has been there. I remember after the 1920 season, after the lockdown season, he obviously just scored his 23 goals or 22 goals in the season. Everyone was buzzing. Everyone was happy. The next season, he goes on to score 3 or 4 goals. But people were still like, oh, nah, it's not his fault. His body gave him injuries. People aren't playing him in. All right, cool. The next season, again, his body's breaking down. He's getting injured at the time. And when he does play, he's looking slow and sluggish. Oh, no, he just needs to get up to speed, man. Like, the ice cold Martial will be back. So he has been defended for time and time and time. Yes, some pundits have been going at him. But guess what? He has not been delivering the way that he was in 1920. And that's 4 years. He hasn't been delivering for 4 years. So yes, people are going to be on his ass. Marcus Rashford has done more for Man United than Martial, and people are on his ass. So what do you think they're going to do with Martial? Both of those players deserve criticism. So you don't need to bring him up when we're talking about a new player in his first season adapting to the game, because he hasn't been here failing for 5 years like everyone else. He's just got here. So people need to stop this revision of Martial's never been defended. He has been defended. When he first came to the club, defended. Second season, defended. Third season, defended. When Jose was here, wanted to sell him, we were saying no. The fan base was saying no.
And the irony is, it's now we know that was wrong because it didn't go the way we wanted it to. And I still want to defend Martial. The only reason I'm not defending him is I don't believe we'll ever get him back to the best of his abilities. And I don't think he's ever going to be that player that we expected. So as a club, we've got to move on. This year says Blood. Thanks for that. Griezmann would do better than the scrub Hojlund. Well, Griezmann is better than him. I mean, that's just and do you know what? Peak R9 would do better than Griezmann. Yes.
I don't understand that.
Do you know how weird? That's like saying this. Okay, look, you got a good midfielder in Martin Odegaard. If you could get a 28-year-old Zidane in, oh my God, it'd be better. It's just, yes. I mean, smart boy. Terry Haaland does not have a striker's IQ. It's that simple. So Maradon, I need you to explain to me what that means. So I'm not even going to respond to it. I want you to break down for me in granular detail what you mean by it doesn't have the striker IQ. Because we're all stating, I think a lot of us believe his hold-up play is good, his runs are good, he gets into the right spaces, but we don't believe the balls are being played to him. So I need you. That for me is great striker IQ. Now you saying he's got bad IQ, you need to say what it is that he's doing that demonstrates poor IQ. Let us know, Maradon, because I mean I'm genuinely intrigued by what you said there. At least you won the game, Terry. I'm still sad. Not only Klopp leaves, Xavi as well. Yeah, Xavi's on his way. Matt, you're an Arsenal fan.
Has he been sacked? Has Xavi been sacked?
Xavi's leaving at the end of the season. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Essentially the same thing. Matt, what's your take on Rasmus Højlund? Some people say he's good. Some people say he's bad. Well, what do you think?
I quite like him. I think he's got a lot of potential. He looks like he is a target man. I think he's got bags of potential. I just think he's probably joined the wrong club at the wrong time, I think. But I mean, with this new ownership, potentially he could become good. I don't understand why your wingers are not playing balls into him. I don't get that at all, because he's probably your best bet at scoring, other than like if Rashford isn't on the pitch, because I'm not understanding why they're not passing to him.
The reason why our wingers are not passing to him is because they play inverted and they want to be scorers of goals. Now, I like Garnacho, but I like him on the right, because when he's on the right, his game is more fluid, his game's more unpredictable, and his game's more looking to assist rather than score. So, but when he's on the left, it's like a switch. He's like, right, I need to score goals now because I'm cutting in. Anthony's just, I don't even want to talk about Anthony. Everyone knows my thoughts on him. Anyway, so these are the wingers you got. And then Rashford, the same thing. When he's on the left-hand side, he just wants to score most of the time. So we have not got wingers who want to provide for our striker. Naturally, it's not in their instinct. So that's why we're struggling. And the ones that we do have that can potentially do that is either shipped off on loan in Dortmund, or he's on the bench standing up for like half an hour waiting to come on and never comes on. It doesn't make sense. It actually doesn't. And this is why we look at Ten Hag. It's like, wait, you're saying you want your striker to be getting goals. You say you want your wingers to be providing for your striker, but yet you're not playing the guys who naturally want to do that. And you're trying to force guys who want to score to do that for him. Like it just doesn't make sense.
There's a comment here from AJ that says a narrative Haaland doesn't get chances is a myth. Go and watch the Wigan game for an example. So again, the Wigan game, he was criticised for not taking his chances. So I criticised him, KJ criticised him, the whole panel criticised him. The Luton game this season at home, he also should have scored, and he was heavily criticised in that game. But when you start breaking down his season, in the games he scored in the Champions League, we created chances for him. He scored. We created a chance. It's a little fortuitous where the ball fell to him, but he had one opportunity to score today, and he did. We only created one or two opportunities in the whole Spurs game, and he scored. In the Villa game, he screamed on a number of occasions the ball weren't threaded through to him. Yes, it fell to him in the box in a goal-scoring poacher's position, and he buried it. This man, if you create him opportunities and chances, he'll score. We've only created 20 goal-scoring opportunities for him, just shots, that is, by the way, not clear-cut chances, in the Premier League this campaign. And even if you look at today's numbers, okay, Garnacho 5 shots, Bruno 5 shots, Anthony 6 shots. Now, of those shots, as an example, he actually created 2 of those Bruno shots. But Anthony and Garnacho shot on at least 3 occasions each where they should be cutting that ball back into the box for him, where he's in a position to tap the ball into the back of the net. And it's those tap-ins and pullback goals, which all great goal scorers, by the way, the Messis and the Ronaldos, the R9s, that's where they bolster their numbers. And that's where they relieve the pressure upon the rest of their game. Because if we were doing that more this season, Rasmus would be sitting there on about 13, 14, maybe 15 goals, and there'd be no pressure on his goal scoring as of right now. There'd be none. There wouldn't be that kid from, making millions of pounds now out of his name on Instagram because he wouldn't be a meme. And it's about the team. So I get your point. He has had chances created for him, but not enough. We are too greedy up front and we shoot more often than we should cut the ball back. And we don't score enough of those simple goals. Maradon is back as well.
To do everything because he is still young. He's what, 20
He's
still?
20.
I'm pretty sure.
He's 20.
Yeah.
Maradon here says he has limited movement in and around the box. Again, if you think Højlund's got limited movement, you're either moving like Ray Charles or Stevie Wonder, or you're lying. Saying he can't hold the ball up, you know what? I'm going to give you some leeway on that. He's had some great times holding it up. There's been a few times where the ball's been bouncing off. He's got to work on that, so I'll give you that. He's not good in the air.
We barely crossed to even know if he's good in the air.
He's had 2 headed opportunities so far as a Man United player. Scored one, hit the crossbar with the other, and does show for the ball. He only drifts out wide. So again,
that's also not true.
Well, but even if it is, strikers and number 9s historically have been taught to move themselves into their channels, and you do that to take defenders, namely your centre backs, away from their positions to allow runners to either invert inside or run up from midfield deep. It's a normal thing. Number 9s have always pushed out into those wide areas. So Maradon, to say he's got limited movement in the box as well, I think it's absolutely wrong. Absolutely
Someone has
wrong.
said Haaland is 22. Excuses, Terry.
Højlund is not 222. Flipping now.
Haaland.
Well, but
wait. So you're picking a genuine freak of nature to compare to a normal level striker. And this is the issue, Terry. We see it with it. If a player is not Mbappe, if a player is not Haaland, well, they're the same age as these players, and they're world class. So what's their excuse? Their excuse is they're not as good as them.
Well, this is the thing. Erling Haaland, in my personal opinion, is the greatest young striker at his age. 23, by the way, not 22, 23. Yeah. He's the best 20 to 23-year-old striker Europe has had since R9 in terms of his goal scoring. He is an anomaly. He is and I say this in a nice way, a freak. He is an alien. I know Rasmus Højlund is not at that level, but if the benchmark is your Haaland or your crap, then every player under the age of 23 is crap because none of them are producing at that level. And in terms of him drifting out wide here, I'm just looking at his heat map this season in the Champions League and in the Premier League. He, of course, does go out wide like a lot of strikers do, but all the red markings on these heat maps are central for Rasmus Højlund. And I want to be fair when doing this. So I'm actually going to put in Erling Haaland, okay, who is a similar. I want to see if Erling Haaland drifts more than he does or less than he does. Yeah, and it's all very much the same, predominantly in the middle. There is some movement out to those wide areas as well. But you look at all number 9s and their heat map, traditional number 9s like Haaland's, like Rasmus Højlund's, like Sesko's, their heat maps are going to look very, very similar to one another. You'll have darker red for someone like Haaland because he touches the ball more because his team have more possession, but their areas of territory will be about the same. But there's no excuses at all. Haaland's just better, my friend.
Yeah. Yellow I called him normal because compared to Haaland, he's normal. Like, it's an easy thing to understand, but you're being disingenuous.
KJ is talking in the spectrum of elite level players. He's saying and I agree. I look at it as, I think Højlund, sits in the echelon of top players, Premier League and Champions League level player. But within that spectrum of players right now, he's at a normal level. He's at a 6, maybe a 7. He could get better, but there's no guarantee of it right now. Haaland's sitting in there in terms of his position as a 9.5, 10. He's there. He's a freak at his age. Do you know what I'm saying? It's crazy.